G'day, welcome back to free range sailing. What are we doing, Pascal?
We're sailing through the Northern Territory of Australia.
Yep, we're going across the NT, the Northern Territory. We're going to head over to Queensland and we're going to scamper up to the top there because at the moment it's building up to be cyclone season. So we're just going to zip through here, and then after the cyclone season, we think we might just come back and check out the Gulf Carpentaria later on.
Yeah, we're going to have to spend a bit more time up here. We feel a bit pressed for time at the moment. So.
Yeah, slow travellers. Before we set off across the Northern Territory, a very kind gentleman in Darwin named Trevor actually lent me his copy of Northern Territory Coast Cruising by John Knight. And I did take some notes out of that, and throughout this video we will be using a bit of that information.
One of the novelties in Darwin is that all the marinas have lock systems because the tides are so big. We also took the opportunity to use the convenient refueling facilities beside the lock.
We left Darwin around about 1 o'clock this morning. We sailed on out of there, and why were we out and about at that ungodly hour? Well, we wanted to ride the ebb tide, the outgoing tide out last night, and there was a favourable wind to get here to the join between Beagle Gulf and Van Diemen Gulf. Just as the tide is coming up to high tide, the water's going to be flowing through the Gulf in the same direction that we want to go, and I'm hoping that we're going to get about 7-8 knots out of it. At the moment we're doing 5 knots for 1700 RPM, or revs per minute on the engine. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now our first stop featured a creek that we'd heard that was quite clear and you could find coral in. Really chiming away. Ooh, I wonder if that joins the main stream where we just were.
Yeah.
It's such a cool little stream.
Mm.
There's got to be 100 mangrove jacks here.
Just where we're standing. There's some big ones as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nursery.
But yeah, there's a few big ones getting around.
But at this stage of the tide, everyone's just mooching around, socialising, aren't they?
Look, there's a queenie. Oh.
Now, one of the notes that we'd seen about this creek is that in times past, Aboriginals had used this creek to get from one side of the Cobourg Peninsula to the other without necessarily having to brave the really rough conditions and strong tides of going round by the seaward route. So it felt like retracing history a little bit. Mushroom coral. See the tentacles?
Yeah. It looks like an enemy.
Yeah, I know. But it's a coral.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh?
Lift it up again. Oh, well, it's shut. Cool. What was that, a shark?
Hey!
Is it a male?
Yeah.
He.
One advantage to having all sorts of rubbish washing up here from Asia, we can just find string. No, you don't have to go and make it out of a tree. That's, oh, yes. Oh. Bloody nipper. God's like, what's it all about, mate? What's going on? It's a lot easier on the out of the sand. So, yep, that looks pretty good. Really tight, nice and tight.
I'm lucky there.
The carry bag. Not only that, is we can clip him off under the boat and he'll be in the water nice and fresh.
Yep.
Turn that ratchet off on the side. No, on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Pump him one. Come on. Oh, tick tick tink.
It's not a shark, is it?
I'm calling tuna. Good fish. Oh, look at that grit.
It's really strong. It's a shark.
No, it's the head.
With a shark on it.
Nah.
That's why it was so hard to see.
Oh, good work, baby. What'd you catch us?
Head.
What you got, Pascal?
It's a mackerel head, isn't it?
It was.
It's a decimated mackerel.
Oh, look at that trace. I'm afraid Betsy needs some work. All the trace is coiled up. Gee, they left you nothing, huh?
Yeah, the sharks really had a go at it. No wonder it was so hard to pull in. I think they were pulling at it.
Oh, good job. Well, there we go. You've seen what we're up against here in the Northern Territory. It's a very sharky place.
So we are paying for our stupidity
You always pay for your stupidity.
by not putting the cap on the water tank. We are going to have to walk up a hill to collect water because the tap on the beach is not working.
Ah, yes. That's alright. Once before I've had to do a dinghy trip up a river as far as I could go and then go and get water, and there was crocodiles, and go and get water and then carry it back on like those sticks that cannibals carry old explorers. That's what it looked like. I can see a lagoon in the base of Cobourg Bay there.
Which might have water.
Yeah, but it's not as if that's going to be an easier option than just kind of walking up a hill.
And there's also cattle around as well. Livestock around.
Yeah, that's alright.
And why can't we use the water maker? Do you want to tell everyone why we can't use the water maker?
Too much sediment in the water here. We're
Yeah.
too close to land, isn't it? So, no water maker for us.
Like one of our water pre-provisioning mission begins.
Look at his little eye.
I know, he's so cute.
Where is this frog? He is
No.
On the telephone.
Just your phone booth. He looks like a ginormous piece of chewed up chewing gum that someone stuck above the receiver.
He's a pretty well camouflaged old frog.
Yeah. He's doing his best to look silver. Oh.
It is hot. There's no other word for it. Schnell! You were at work! It's a common theme, isn't it? Pascal tottering along with water. Here's my jerry can. Ugh.
Nearly there.
How's today's exercise suiting you?
Trying to use my legs a bit more. Getting a bit of nice burn in my glutes.
That is some good technique. Getting water is not normally this hard, and it certainly wasn't this hard in the Kimberley. But there we go. That's our mission done. Just one other wrinkle. There's a crocodile at this beach, so we have to watch out for him as well. I can't sit around chatting to you all day. Got to get some water on the boat.
What's going on here, Troy?
What's that annoying noise? So, using Black Cat's HF Fax app for our iPad and our shortwave receiver, and the information I got from the specifications for the frequencies that I photocopied at the library, we're getting a weather fax out here in the middle of nowhere. Pretty hectic noise though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a miracle. Look at that. And we got that from our cheap little sand dune shortwave receiver. So this is HF Fax by Black Cat Systems. And you can Google that. This was a free app off the App Store, and it's worked flawlessly. So what did I need? I went to our Bureau of Meteorology, and I just got the frequency chart and a little bit of other if none of this makes sense to you, don't worry, but you do need these frequencies. And then I got a radio fax schedule, and I said, all right, I wouldn't mind seeing the pressure analysis, valid 0600 UTC, which is about now. Tuned into the radio. Look at that.
Magic.
What a beauty. So at the moment we've had a few things not working that have been sort of like but look at that, for a free app. We didn't pay anything for that. I couldn't be more thrilled. Where are we, Pascal? This place doesn't look in very good nick at all.
Yeah, we're at the site of the Victoria Ruins, which was a British settlement from 1838 to 1849.
A long time ago.
Yeah, yep.
And this part here is what? That's the hospital that we're looking at here?
Yep, that's the hospital. And behind us is the hospital kitchen.
That kitchen was built to last, so
Yeah.
we can relate to those people. Food was important to them. Let's go have a look. Our old friend Philip Parker King named Port Essington in 1818, and that was a tribute to the Vice Admiral Sir William Essington. He suggested a settlement for the British Empire to communicate with Asia and sort of claim northern Australia because they were anticipating that the Dutch and French would be interested in the area as a trading base. So other settlements had been attempted on Melville Island and in Raffles Bay nearby, but they pretty quickly failed, and that prompted the establishment of Victoria. So for 11 years those people struggled with disease, hardships, cyclones, and especially isolation, because they were a long way from home. They might as well have been on Mars, you know, to put it in today's terms. It's really opaque.
Some thick glass.
That's a hell of a pizza oven. Like, that's deep, man. There was a lot of hope for success there, and if you're familiar with Australian exploration, Leichhardt's famous expedition out of Moreton Bay near Brisbane today, he went through the desert, and that was to actually establish an overland route from what's modern day Brisbane to Port Essington. All of those hopes were dashed, and that legendary exploration was almost for naught. Until the settlement of Darwin, where we've just been, it was then called Palmerston, in 1869, there was no successful attempt to settle this part of Australia. It was really, really hostile. Even the Aboriginals, they made some friendly overtures. Sometimes they, were warlike, but just the climate, everything, it was just a really, really hard place. But anyway, just check out these ruins as we have a bit of a wander around. Well, this is a bit more in the shade, so I'm a bit happier. This is the old quartermaster's store, and back there, that enormous mound of dirt. The local scrub turkeys have come in here and used this. A couple of little birds run around, probably about this big. The males made this whole big mound, as usual, to interest and attract females. Sort of what we do, but yeah, there we go. Quartermaster store, rush turkey nest. History and nature coming together. The Department of Infrastructure here tries to maintain this historic site. So while the continuous assault by the Aussie bush to reclaim the ruins has sort of been held at bay, you can really see that it's still encroaching onto the ruins, even to the point of this enormous bush turkey mound. So the male builds this up, rotting vegetation provides the heat, the female comes along, likes the look of it, lays some eggs, and away they go. So this is the magazine where the gunpowder would have been kept, because this was a garrison town, it was an armed settlement. There's a nice area here overlooking the bay, the best anchorage, so could have shot a few cannons off there. But this is testament to the efficiency of underground housing to keep cool. I think this is the coolest part on the Cape at the moment. So in here there's history inside history, because we've got T. Maloney, Royal Australian Army, 1940. And all around us people have gone and graffitied here, and it's got the date, so more people were garrisoned here. P. Galvin, garrisoned here, 1940. 44.
Yeah, right.
Later
so
on, 53.
Holding this post in the Second World War.
Yeah. W. Richards, 1940. Garrisoned here. So today's graffiti will be tomorrow's history. Look at these wasps' nests.
Amazing.
Like everywhere around the world, these palm trees that are here, really, really useful to the local Aboriginals back in the day, and I guess still today. That crown there, you can chop a palm down, cut it open, and there's like the edible palm heart in there, and so that was exploited as food. The fronds could be used as a sort of roofing material, just very rough for the Aboriginals in the area. They didn't weave it or anything like that. And down here we see these palm spathes. So those sheaths that are at the end of them very useful. Like, they could be fashioned really easily into food and water carriers. What do we got here, Pascal? Looks like someone's built a tiger trap.
Yeah, I think it's an old well.
I'm pretty sure it's an old well.
An old well then.
Yep.
We were just discussing how they would have gotten water, but we presumed that they would have dug a well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the only way back in the day, wasn't it? Well, here's Pascal next to the gravestone of the doctor of the settlement. So.
It's not a very big grave.
You think he was a bit of a manlet?
I don't think people were very big back then.
This doesn't necessarily have to be the size of the person under it.
That's true. And actually it's probably my length anyway.
So here's the old cemetery, and a plaque has been established commemorating the settlers who lost their lives in the struggle to establish Victoria. This list of fatalities, on the 26th of the 11th, that big cyclone, November is the cyclone time, the Royal Navy got it in the neck a bit, Royal Navy, one poor old Royal Marine, and look, before them, babies. So this place was tough. Mrs. Esther Norman, lots of ladies in here. Looks like all the guys pretty much got it.
During the cyclone.
Yeah, but there's lots of little boys here, babies. So, you know, a lot of people just think that back in the day, you sort of come to Australia, moved on in and took over, but no, these people really paid with their lives, with their children, with their wives, everything. It was a tough place. So this is the first place that we've seen bricks.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones are made out of this native stone.
Yeah.
So I was reading about this place, and a brickmaker was shipwrecked. So they put him to work making bricks. But before that, there was no brickmaker, so a lot of it's just cut out of stone. But look at that.
Pretty good. Pretty good for a 150-year-old brick.
I guess there's limited wear on a brick out here.
Yeah.
Still under warranty.
We're here at the site of the old kiln, where they would fire the bricks and whatever else you'd cook in a kiln. Bricks.
where there's a brickmaker, there's a kiln.
Yep. Troy says I should go in, but I'm a bit claustrophobic.
Oh, claustrophobic.
And also spiders, but you almost scared of spiders than me.
Ah, bat!
No, there's no bats in there.
I don't know if I'll fit in there.
You're a bit big.
I'm a bit big, and it's full of wasps' nests.
Is it? Are you going in?
If I come out really quickly, followed by wasps,
Just bolt.
just run away.
Is it cool in there?
Yeah,
Yeah?
it's great.
Should I come in?
You'd be mad if you didn't.
Alright.
Here we have the ever intrepid Pascal just swallowing her claustrophobia. It's not so bad in here though, is it?
No. Oh wow, are they wasp nests? Those things?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no wasps in here at the moment. Oh, it's so nice and cool in here.
If it wasn't for storm surge, this wouldn't be such a bad cyclone shelter. You'd get a bit wet, but you wouldn't get destroyed.
Yeah.
But if you had a 3-metre storm surge, like what happened to this settlement, this would all be underwater and you'd be in deep water. A gratuitous shot of Pascal's bum.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button because it makes it more likely that YouTube will suggest our video to a broader audience. Also, we'd love to hear your feedback, so head over to the comments and drop us a line.